Hello, my dear church boys, and welcome back to St. Robert's Daygame podcast. On this episode, my favorite topic, my favorite girls, the Russian girls. We'll talk about the differences in meeting, seducing, and dating Russian girls. How is that different from all the other girls around the world that I've met? And this is a podcast I recorded with James Tusk for his podcast, but I'm cross-posting this for my audience as well. And this podcast episode is coming to you from Puerto Escondido, Mexico, where I'm right now sitting maybe 20 meters from the ocean in a beautiful beach bar. So the little background noise you're hearing could be waves crashing in the rocks on the beach, or music from the beach bar, or maybe some dogs barking. But there is a reason I decided to publish the podcast episode about Russian girls, because we recorded 3 podcast episodes at once, and the reason to do that is very soon I'm going back to Europe from Mexico. I've been in Mexico for the last, around 3 months now. I'm going back to Playa del Carmen in a few days to do the last coachings in Mexico, and then I'm boarding a plane and heading to Serbia. I'm going to the place that in a way scares me, but in a way inspires me so much. I was there 1.5 years ago. It was my first long-term day game trip where I went for a month. And it was just unbelievable. The hotness there was next level. I had never seen anything like that in the world. I still haven't seen anything like that in the world. I'm going back. That being said, it isn't like daygaming in Prague, it isn't like daygaming in Poland or Playa del Carmen. Yeah, those places are easy, yeah? Whereas Serbia is the expert mode. It's a city that's much harder for daygame. Is it a good city to learn daygame? It's a tricky question. There are 2 environments that are good for that you can learn daygame. You can go to an easy city like Prague or Poland or Playa del Carmen, whatever. There are many options, yeah? And you can go to a harder city like a city in Russia or maybe New York City or somewhere in Serbia. And let me explain you the differences. This is important if you're thinking about getting coaching ever in your life. If you go to an easier city, then what happens is girls are more receptive to daygame, and you get to practice all parts of your sets. You get to practice the stop, you get to practice your pre-opener, your opener, your stacking, you get to practice storytelling because she gives you the topic and boom, you can chat about the topic. You get to practice everything, challenging her, making her qualify, number closing, then going on dates, yeah, and it's not easy. It's not easy in almost any city in the world. Yeah, well, there are some cities that are easier. But the big thing in easier cities is you get to practice all parts of the sets, and then regardless of where you're from, easier or harder city, you go back to your city, and what do you have to do? You just have to kind of level up your game a little bit to kind of get it to the level of the city you're in. And if you're in New York or another tougher city, then, well, you can learn in an easier city, go back, and you'll still be fine. Well, what if you learn daygame in a harder city, in some places in Russia, in Belgrade, or in New York City? Daygame is much tougher there. You'll get many blowouts, especially when you're learning. So it is mentally harder when girls just look at you as if you didn't exist and just walked around you. And then it comes down to your approach towards rejection. Are you gonna like a dog that's being punished, like tail between the legs and run away and like cry in the corner? Or are you gonna understand, there are mistakes in my stop, I must polish my stop, it has to be better. And when you polish your stop, when you polish your open, when you polish whatever you do in daygame, your results get better. So the good part of learning daygame in a city that is tougher, once you learn it there, that shit will work anywhere. You can travel wherever you want, and it will seem easy for you to daygame in most other places. I learned daygame in Riga. I don't consider Riga the easiest city for daygame, but it's not like Belgrade either. But when I went to other places, when I went to Poland, when I went to Prague, when I went even to London, to me, day gaming there seemed so easy because I learned in Riga. I learned with many girls that have Russian heritage, and I loved my learning. I had so many adventures and crazy experiences. It was amazing. So you can choose whether you want to learn in an easier environment or the harder environment. Well, and why I'm telling this and why I'm publishing exactly this recording is that I'm going to Serbia, so I will be taking a few students in Serbia in March, and I'll be taking a few students in Serbia in April. I'm not saying I'm gonna be in April in Serbia all of the time. Most probably not. Most likely I'll travel around. I'll go to other cities in Serbia. I'll explore Serbian nature, etc., etc., etc. But there will be coaching spots finally available in Europe. The good news about Serbia, it's really easy to travel to Serbia. There are flights from most big cities in Europe, and all you need to get in Serbia is a PCR test. That's it. It's really, really cheap. Airbnbs are cheap. If you are not experienced in day game, I've said this many, many times. If you're not experienced in day game, if you haven't had like maybe 10, maybe even 20 lays, don't go to Serbia. You'll get destroyed. But if you're going there to learn and to get coaching, then I've coached several guys there. I love the city. I want to go there to learn. I want to go there to coach. And if you learn day game there, then after that you go back to your own city. It will seem like your city is super easy for day game. Serbian girls in a way are similar to Russian girls, but they are like Russian girls squared. They're even more traditional, even stronger frame, but even more beautiful. The hotness there is just unfucking believable. That being said, this summer I will be going to Russia. I will be spending a month in a beautiful, nice city in Russia. But I'll tell you more about it when it approaches. With all of this being said, the last announcement I want to make is, guys, you know that my podcast and YouTube channel are like the mainstream stuff where I publish all the content, and it's for the casual follower. But if you want to know what's going on behind the scenes, what are the ideas we're talking about, what are the day game trips we're taking, what adventures we're going on, that you can join if you want, and basically all the behind the scenes and in-depth stuff, then all of that stuff is happening in our Day Game Church Telegram group chat. And a lot of the stuff makes it also to the mailing list, especially the upcoming trips, because I only announce the upcoming trips, the cities, to public a month or a few weeks after everyone on the group chat and mailing list already knew. If you're only listening to the podcast and if you're not on a mailing list, then I can tell you, you are only finding out about Serbia now, whereas many other guys have actually known about this for a while. So go to my website, strobert.blog. It is strobert.blog, and sign up for the mailing list. And in the mailing list, you will in the welcome email, you will receive an invitation link to join the group chat. Click that link, join the group chat, and know what's actually going on in our community. With all of this being said, let's get down to the topic of dating Russian girls. Let's go. Russian girls.
Right, okay, cool. Let me just starting recording. Hola, chicos. We are back. I'm with the Mr. the Innocent Church Mouse, St. Robert. He is still in Mexico, pretending he's going to leave, but he's still sitting here drinking micheladas and eating churros, getting very fat, not working out. I can see his beautiful body is not the shape it used to be in. What are we going to do about that, St. Robert?
We're gonna do a lot of day game as soon as I get back to Europe. We're gonna walk 2 hours a day, chasing the beautiful girls of Balkans. That's what we're fucking gonna do, man.
And lots of cock push-ups as well, which everyone knows is the best type of exercise.
I do them daily. I do them daily.
Do you? Fuck me, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm still in Rio. I will be traveling around bits of Brazil, and you're going to see that stuff coming at you on the YouTube channel in the next few weeks. But for now, still in Rio. And today we're going to be talking about an interesting topic, which probably we could go on for hours, but we'll try and keep it to not, crazy Bible length movie style Passion of the Christ film time, which is we're going to be discussing the nuances of Russian women Now, obviously, this is a vast topic, and we don't expect to be able to cover everything on this. But what we're going to try and do is interlace some cool anecdotes about our experience with Russian women, alongside some practical tips for if you do decide to head to Russia, or if you come across or you deliberately travel to places with high proportions of Russian women. So Turkey, for example, Antalya, there's a lot of Russian women. There's a lot of Russian women in Miami. There's a lot of Russian women in Thailand. There's particularly Phuket, where I was there recently about 6 months ago, and there's a place called Kata Beach, where the menus, there's so many Russians, the menus are either in Thai or Russian. They don't even bother with English, which is fascinating for me. But yeah, what would be, to kickstart Russian, talking about Russian women, what's your experience with Russian women, St. Robert?
They usually say, da, da, da.
Да, да, да. Нет, 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 да, да, да.
Я люблю твой член. It means I love your dick.
So how do you, first of all, is it normal for, you're originally Latvian, right? So is it normal for most Latvians to speak Russian? Is that why you speak it, or did you learn it separately on the side?
Old geezers like me usually speak Russian. I'm 33 years old, and people my age, even Latvians, they do typically speak Russian, most of them. And people younger than me, no, like almost no one speaks Russian unless they have Russian heritage and they grew up either in Russian family or a mixed family. So being a Latvian that speaks Russian is great, because when I meet Russian girls somewhere, I am abroad, not in Russia. When I meet them there, me being a foreigner that speaks Russian is, I don't know why, but it adds this great value to me.
Well, it's obvious why. I mean, it's obvious why, right?
Well, I have a feeling that if I was a Russian guy speaking Russian, it would be less interesting for them.
Yeah, of course.
I'm a foreigner that speaks Russian, so that's really interesting for them.
Sexual market, basic sexual market economics, right?
Yeah, but there is a little trick about it. I never tell them I speak Russian. If their English is incredibly bad, but they understand it, I will say, oh, like, you can speak Russian, I understand it, I just don't speak it too much. So when we will do the set where I'm speaking English, they're speaking Russian for one reason. I'm not giving up the language frame part, like the frame part of language, and they still have to work hard to either try to speak in English or try to understand what I'm saying in English. So they have to do the work. And then when I'm closing, only when I'm closing, after I take the number, I will start speaking Russian as a reward for her hard work during the set.
I like it. It's good. Yeah, I mean, my Portuguese is pretty decent now. So I'm in Brazil, and I will never speak Portuguese unless she doesn't speak a word of English, and then I'll switch.
Exactly.
But I'll also do what you do, which is at the end of the conversation, as a reward for her investment, because she's obviously investing more because she's speaking in a foreign language, I will then throw in some Portuguese to show that I'm not just this like idiot sex tourist, to show that I have an interest in the culture and understanding of stuff. And it really, really adds value, and it really helps secure the number, in my experience. So I guess, yeah, I mean, there's many ways we could kind of run through stuff, but maybe we could just run through some key points for gaming Russian women, your experience of gaming them. I've been to St. Petersburg, I've been to Moscow. So I think actually going to a place like this as a foreign guy, you have more value because you stand out. But maybe let's just talk about, if you are meeting Russian women, you come across a Russian girl abroad, are there differences in behavior, or the differences to the approach guys should be looking at? And that's maybe detail there.
Yeah. So a lot of guys, when they meet Russian girls, they will say, oh my God, like, she was so bitchy, she was so this, so that. And it would be very hard for them to sleep with the girl, and they would go on at least 3 dates to sleep with them.
Right.
Which is what a lot of guys say. And I've heard about so many of those experiences, and then I was thinking, wait, me and Russian girls, for me, yes, they are like that. They do a lot of things that maybe guys don't like. But for me, it has never been the experience where I have to go on a lot of dates with them. It's usually the first date and it's done. I mean, it's usually first date lays. It's a lot of same day lays with Russian girls or same day delays. And I have the friend or like another day gamer I know from London who used to go to Russia for a game. And I asked him, and he was very successful there. And I asked him, listen, dude, like you have good results in Russia and I have very good results with Russian girls. So what do you think is the thing? Why are guys saying that Russian girls are so hard to game? Is it because they are hard to game, or is it because those guys have bad game? And he instantly said, oh yeah, those guys have terrible game. Russian girls are great.
Yeah.
And I think that's the first lesson guys have to understand, that mostly, apart from some few exceptions, there aren't easy or hard girls to game. That's the wrong way to look at it. The question is, do you need good game to sleep with them, or is just running up to a girl saying, hey, you look cute, and then teasing a little bit all you need, and then you can kind of chit chat? That works for a lot of nationalities and for a lot of countries, but it does not work for Russian girls. For Russian girls, you need tight game. You need to be able to hold your frame. You need to be able to deal with frame tests very well and all of those things. And if you cannot do that, they will destroy you. You will buy them things. You will take them to restaurants. You will wait for countless dates before you sleep with them. But if you can do that, well, let me tell you a short story about my experience in Prague. Prague has a lot of tourists from Russia and a lot of Russian girls that have moved there. So I met this 23, 24-year-old Russian girl who moved. I'm writing down about Russian sugar babies that we have to talk about a bit later, because it's an important part of Russian culture when it comes to girls. So anyways, I meet this girl and we go on this date, and she puts all of these frame tests, and like she has the strongest frame, but Russian girls are also very, very submissive. So if you have a strong frame, you can really dominate them really, really easily. And so we're at my place with this girl, and she just wouldn't go for, like, she might go for like a kiss here, a kiss there, but nothing serious, nothing big. Like she wouldn't go for the lay. And then I would just, at one point, I would sit on the sofa and she would sit next to me, would say, stand the fuck up. She would stand up and say, stay in front of me. Get down on your knees with back to me. And she would like get down there, is like, take off your top, take off your bra. And I would like go like really dominant style. And she would go up to a certain point, but she didn't take the bra off. And as soon as she doesn't do that, I stand up and I ignore her completely for like 5-10 minutes. I do a complete freeze out. 5 minutes later, I come back and I restart the same thing. Is like get up, stand up, get on your knees, take your top off, take your bra off, let's go. Take her to another room. I just basically command her to be in front of me on her knees. I told her step by step all the explicit things that I'm not gonna mention on your podcast, but I gave her very, very step by step instructions what exactly she should be doing and how should she be handling all the stuff. And the same chick wanted gifts when I was coming back from USA, and I tried to agree and amplify and turn it into a joke, but she was very explicit that she wants expensive gifts, and I never saw her again. But we had a beautiful experience with her, never having done anything submissive. She submitted fully on that day, even though she wasn't down for it in the beginning. So that's the beauty of Russian girls. If you don't know how to handle them, you will be buying gifts, you will be taking them to restaurants and waiting for dates. But if you know what you're doing, you'll sleep with them on the first date, and they are really crazy. They are really crazy sexually. So that's the big thing about Russian girls.
Yeah, I think you make a good point, which is, if in doubt, lead. So even if you don't think your game's really up to much, just really polarized, masculine polarization, try and lead, because they want to sit in that feminine role, but they will test the fuck out of you to see if you warrant that role. So I think that's a key point. I've met a number of Russian girls on holiday. I've met a few in Thailand. I've met a few in Budvar in Montenegro. I've met a few in Turkey. And actually, I find that when they're traveling around, they're outside of their home country, that most of them are actually pretty up for meeting guys. They're on tour, they want to have some fun. usually if they're on their own, which you find a surprising number of Russian women traveling on their own, they're very open to being dated straight away because they get bored, right? And they want male company and they want to practice their English. So I agree with you. I think there's a complete myth. I don't know who fucking came up with this. Probably some of these like quote unquote expert armchair guru, pickup guys. But, I agree. In my experience of Russian women, it's not been hard to sleep with them at all. So obviously you're going to find some who are more reserved, but my general experience of meeting them outside of Russia has been, they're pretty up for it. They're pretty game on. And I don't know where this myth of like having to go on 5 dates with a Russian girl came from, other than it's just the standard internet fools, who just sit on Reddit all day and commenting. And these are exactly the same guys you shouldn't be listening to, because anyone who has hours each day to be spending writing about stuff, to do with game probably isn't actually doing much game. So don't listen to those fools. Listen to me and St. Robert, in the sense that if it is a Russian girl, don't start thinking it's going to take you extra time. Go for it as normal. Like really push the boundaries. It sounds like there's heavy rain where you are, man. Is everything okay?
Yeah. They're washing some dishes. I'm in a beach bar overlooking Pacific Ocean.
Now it's better. I think it's just when you stop talking, it can be a bit loud sometimes, but it's okay.
Skype does this weird thing where it makes sure you hear everything, so it adjusts the volume of the call. It sometimes can like fuck with recordings a little bit.
Yeah. What are the other nuances guys should know about that, or what are the other key mistakes guys are thinking when it comes to
key mistakes is guys learn day game in easier places like UK, like London, or they learn in Poland, or they maybe learn in Czech Republics, or maybe somewhere in the US, and most of those places are much easier to get results in than with Russians. So they think they have good game, whereas in reality they have pretty average game, and that's all they need for those locations. But for Russian girls, in many cases you need very, very tight game. So the biggest misconception is guys think, unfortunately, I know it sounds like a douchebag thing to say, but they think they're better than they are if it comes to really Russian girls. And I actually think, one big thing guys have to take into consideration is the sugar baby culture of Russians. Whether you are dealing with someone who's extremely hot and they know their value.
Well, let's just, before we jump into that, have you got any specifics? Like, I know we both said, like, don't treat girls differently just because they're from Russia, but would there be any specifics that you'd recommend guys that they do need to change slightly during the initial conversation or during the actual date itself? Well, let's start with the conversation. Are there any different nuances for the day game conversation?
They will have to deal with frame tests a lot. They will test you. What do you want? Why are you here? This happens all the time. And unless you can deal with that very, very well, you're just gonna fail pretty hard. So get used to dealing with frame tests. That's super important. So that's in a conversation.
They call it the Russian minute, don't they? Like some guys. And
yeah,
I think
but
it's
usually
true. I think it's like, in my experience, they are a bit frosty at the beginning, even if they are outside Russia and they're in a different country and they're more open to meeting people. Russian women naturally, culturally, if you don't speak Russian, I think they're a bit distrustful. Or not even if you don't speak Russian, just the country is culturally like you don't talk to strangers that much at the beginning. So they are going to find it slightly strange, like a full-on proper day game London front stop, and then you're giving her a compliment. They're going to like it because they love masculine men and they love to sit in that feminine role, but they're going to look a bit strangely at you to begin with for the first minute or 2 minutes in my experience. They're going to look a bit serious. They're going to really test you. There's a brilliant infield of me actually in London outside Liverpool Street Station speaking to quite a hot Russian girl with orange hair. I'll link it beneath this video, but she basically gives me nothing for the first 4 minutes. She starts to then smile and then eventually just starts opening up. But it takes like 4 minutes of me just chilling, not being reactive, answering, just keep going, and then she opens up. But that is quite normal. So I guess my one tip before you go into any nuances you have, Robert, would be just keep going at the beginning. Even if she's not giving you much, just keep speaking. Because if she's standing in front of you, as far as I'm concerned, she's interested. And just keep going and expect her to take a little bit longer to warm up, maybe than some other nationalities, like a Brazilian. straight away she's super friendly. Or a Colombian, she's pretty friendly. Or a Mexican, they're pretty friendly. Russians, they're not like that. They're culturally a little bit more cold and a bit more close, and they just may take slightly longer to thaw out and warm up.
Yeah, definitely. And what I've noticed is they give you like, you will open strong and they will like it, and then they will give you like a minute or two where they would kind of see, okay, what this guy has to offer. What is his game like? And they'll kind of look at you and like you deliver your material, and if your game is good, they will then slowly open up, and if it's shit, they'll just say, oh, I gotta go, and they'll leave. So you cannot freestyle. You really need to focus on structure in the beginning of a set with the Russian girl. So that's really, really important. Use that minute, like have a really, really tight game during their first minutes. Don't relax. And even when they hook and they become super friendly, super nice, there is a point usually when they start testing you. In my case, I've noticed it's towards the end of the set when they're like really like you already, but then like before you close or they'll like start they'll start to test you a little bit again, or sometimes not, like it's like 50-50, sometimes in the beginning, sometimes later. But really, really have tight game in the beginning of a set. That's super, super important with Russian girls. Damn, it's windy. I hope it doesn't fuck up the audio of this conversation.
What do you mean?
I'm just saying it's windy here. It started.
Oh, it's windy. No, I can't hear anything in the background. It's all good. One thing I would add, if you meet a Russian girl on holiday, which has happened to me a number of times in different countries, and she's on her own, and she's just kind of dawdling around doing nothing, go for the instant date. Russian women love the seduction process.
Yes, 100%. Go for an instant date.
Yeah.
I've had so many.
Because they love the dating process. Yeah, they love the dating process. And even if you're a newbie and you end up going on like dates with Russian girls that go nowhere, you'll find actually it's quite easy to go on instant dates and dates with Russians. It doesn't mean you're going to bang them if you don't know what you're doing, but they love that dating process. So they love the whole like, you know, getting to know a guy over a few days and having that like kind of holiday whirlwind romance. So yeah, 100%. If you meet a Russian girl who's on her own, you know, in a different country, go for the instant date. Always go for the instant date.
Like you said, it doesn't mean you're going to get laid, but it probably means you're going to pay for a lot of drinks if you don't know what you're doing. Because they will make it seem that it's going well. But yeah, the rule is you'll in general pay for the drinks. Don't expect Russians to pay for their drinks. It's a very different culture. It's not typical for Russian girls to pay for their own drinks, and that's kind of how it works.
Absolutely.
And when you travel, you have to understand, you have to know which part of the world the girl is coming from and what's kind of the thing there. You can't expect the Russians to pay for their drinks. It's not going to happen.
I completely agree, and I learned that experience actually from a couple of Ukrainians who are obviously culturally very similar. But in the early days, you know, when I was not knowing what I was doing, and it's like, you know, these idiots online going, "Oh man, it's beta for you to pay for the girl's drinks. You can't do it." It's like it's not. Ukraine, if you don't fucking pay for a drink, she'll just walk out the fucking bar. She'll think you're a fucking retard. You know, it's not about being beta. It's about just understanding the fucking culture. You take a girl out, you fucking pay. If you're stupid enough to take her to a 5-star hotel for a drink, then that's your own fault. You know, but you can take her somewhere cheap and cheerful. That's fine. You know, it doesn't matter.
Oh, dude, I take girls to the most disgusting dive bars I can find. Honestly, like my last venue will be a disgusting dive bar.
Yeah.
Like you can't even imagine like the level of bars I took girls in Oaxaca City. It was a shithole, and it still worked. Like I fingered Peruvian girl in a fucking bar at the table, empty bar, no one else but us and employees.
That's fucking
so
a bit of ceviche on your fingers. What about the dating process for Russian women? So we kind of naturally led into that. Are there any nuances guys should be looking to do on a date, instant date, or a date itself that's different because the girl is Russian?
Yes, the big thing is Russian girls will open up slowly on a date. So you might be in venue 1 and you might be trying to do like the socially acceptable physical escalation, like check out her tattoos, maybe earrings, maybe some accessories. And as you touch her, they will very often just pull her hand away and like explicitly show that they don't like to be touched. It's too early. And this will happen a lot during the first venue, whereas by the time you're in second venue, it's fine, and then 2 hours later you're having sex. So they will act like good girls, and when you want, they will open up slow. Sometimes they'll be shy. It will be harder to get the conversation going, and that's fine. It's our job as guys to get the conversation going, to lead, to find the next topic, to find a way to open to help her open up. And if you struggle and you have tried several topics that normally work for every other girl, but for this girl they don't work, then what I suggest doing is find any topic, even the most boring topic, and get the conversation going on any boring topic for 20 minutes. I've had conversations about IT with girls for 20 minutes because she was in IT. She was a programmer, a tech girl, and we spoke about a boring topic like programming for 20 minutes before she felt free enough to actually chat with me. And yeah, so that's a big thing that changes with Russian girls. If you are expecting to pull them home without good seeding, then and a good conflict, then yeah, it's very unlikely that's going to happen. So seeding is definitely important with them. You can either, what I've done and what has worked well is either really good seeding, and then they say, oh wow, that's interesting, I would want to see that movie one day, and then you just say, oh, I'll watch it later, I'll show you it later when you finish the drink. But also what I've tried is, after a few drinks, I feel they're on, and I would just take them to my place without seeding, without telling where we're going. I would just walk with them to my place, and we would walk into my apartment, and it's like a really bold but risky move. But I found it pretty effective with Russian girls.
What about actual topics of conversation? Because I find they're a bit more kind of old school, woo-woo, spiritual. You can get away with talk. They love talking about astrology and stuff like that. They're quite well cultured as well. A lot of them quite well educated. I've come across. Maybe it was just luck that I found maybe more middle class Russians, but they seem to like talking a lot about kind of books they like and stuff of that nature. Did you kind of have any experience with that?
Smart, but I try to keep it on the playful side. But yes, they are smart, and you can actually have good conversations with them. A lot of them are educated. A lot of them, especially the ones traveling, a lot of them actually have money. Like maybe not a lot, but enough to travel, which is, you have to be middle class to travel in Russia. If you live in a tiny village and make average Russian salary, then traveling is going to be pretty hard for you. So have to take that into account. But they have both the serious and able to have a conversation side, and also a very, very feminine side. Russian girls are some of the most feminine girls I've met. They will, once they like you, they will be very, very feminine and very nice towards you. And it's important for them that connection they have with the guy. It is important. The one thing guys have to understand, when a Russian girl says she has a boyfriend, it doesn't mean anything.
Right. Why is that?
Most girls that I've slept with who have boyfriends have been Russians.
Okay, and do you think they actually had boyfriends, or it's just nonsense?
Yes, yeah, I've had them as regulars. We've been seeing each other for a while, and I know they had boyfriends, and they were keeping it a secret from their boyfriend. We were all living, yeah, it's Russians or Russian girls that are like kind of have Russian heritage but live in other places, and but they still have like Russians, even when they live in Baltics, in Latvia, especially in Latvia, I know they still have a very Russian culture. The celebrations and holidays, they do all the Russian stuff. So they're very similar to actual Russian girls.
Is it fair to say that Russians just have a culture of cheating a bit, when they are married?
I don't know about that, but I wouldn't. I would be very careful if I married the Russian girl. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, because I have also experienced with sleeping with Russian girls, and they do have a boyfriend back home, or they are married, and it just seems to be a culturally not necessarily acceptable thing, but just it tends to happen. In my experience, a fair bit, and I'm not sure whether that is just I guess luck of the draw that I happen to have ended up with those type of girls, or whether it just seems to be a commonality. But from what you say, it sounds like there's a bit of a trend there as well.
There is a trend, definitely, but I'm honestly like, I've only gamed Russian girls, and obviously as well as Ukrainians and all of that, the Belarusian girls. I've only met them in other countries. I've never been to Russia. So that is my biggest. I wanted to go to Russia last summer. I already had my visa and everything, and that was like my biggest goal for the travel, like for traveling. But COVID started and I couldn't go. They locked everything down. But this summer I am going to Russia for a month.
You will be going, yeah. I will be going as well. I've got boot camp set up for St. Petersburg, Moscow, and Sochi in July. So if you are free, then it'll be good to join forces for those. I think it'll be a lot of fun. So if guys are listening to this, get in touch, info@jamestusk.com, send me an email, and you have potentially the pleasure of joining me and St. Robert together as we charge around Moscow, St. Petersburg, and Sochi. Sochi, for those of you who don't know, is the Russian Ibiza. So imagine like this seaside place during the summer months, June, July, August, is super packed with Russian girls, fucking hot Russian girls, on holiday, getting loose, a lot of fun. I have an English friend who actually lives in Moscow, speaks fluent Russian, but he deliberately, when he went down there, he said he deliberately spoke in a loud English accent to attract attention because he is the only English guy there, and Russian women were flocking to him like fucking bees to honey because, again, just basic sexual market economics. You know, they're on tour, they want to meet like a guy who's a bit different, and it's like, fuck, this guy's from London, that's cool. So I've got a feeling that's going to be a lot of fun. But I think it's all going to be good, man. I think you're going to fucking love going to Moscow and St. Petersburg as well. St. Petersburg particularly, really fun city, crazy nightlife. I remember going out there, and in every bar they have these fucking massive canisters of NOS, you know, laughing gas, where you just in the corner of the bar, you just buy like 5 balloons at once and just get fucked up. It's just fucking hilarious. But yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fucking fun. We digress. So you were about to talk about sugar babies and Russian culture. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So what I've noticed a lot with, especially with younger Russian girls, maybe like in the 18 to 20 to like mid 20s, early 20s. When you meet them abroad and you talk about the sugar babies in Russia and that culture, they kind of seem excited about it, and it seems that they all would want to do that. Like the idea of a foreigner paying for all this stuff and them traveling and being sugar babies is very exciting for them, and a lot of them like that. So what I actually do, I used to date shortly a girl that was a pretty high-level sugar baby. So I would tell them the story about how I used to date the sugar baby who would travel the world and bang all the like rich guys, and then I would just have sex with her.
Just to interrupt slightly, for guys who are maybe completely clueless, what is a sugar baby?
Sugar baby is a girl who bangs old guys for different luxuries, like travels to tropical locations with first class flights and designer drugs and partying in the fanciest nightclubs in the world in private rooms or VIP rooms, and that's the high end stuff. Obviously, the love and sugar baby is just bang guys just for a travel to some closer destination, maybe nothing that fancy.
Yeah, I mean, in my experience meeting a few, a lot of them said they didn't even bang the guys. The guys are just fucking losers, and they just pay for their education, pay for shit, and they don't even meet them in real life. They're just rich guys with too much money and too little sense.
They have really good game.
Yeah, as you'd expect, right?
Yeah. So I would tell them stories about how I used to date a girl like that and how we just had fun. Well, at the same time, she was like traveling the world with those guys, and kind of like I'm telling the story to kind of let her know between the lines that I know how things work, and I've done this before, and all the sugar babies view me as the guy to have fun with. So I'm setting up this. I used to tell this fake story where I had this chick that like this sugar mummy. I tried a fake story like that. It was a fake story. I just tried it for fun to see how they react, and they loved that. that way we're on the same team.
So the story was, what was the story exactly?
The story was that like that basically I had this. lady who wanted to fuck me for in exchange for different luxuries, and I played with it like a few times, but it's a fake story, so I don't like using fake stories, so I stopped using it pretty fast.
Yeah, I think it's a good point you make, which is at the beginning, my game was a lot of fake stories. But you realize after a while it's just not congruent. Women, I think guys underestimate women and they underestimate their ability to see through, what we do. And if there's even a tiny lack of congruence with a story, or if she feels maybe even the story's true, but if you're telling the story to impress her, then women just think it's fucking try hard and they just lose that attraction. That's my experience with it. But yeah, maybe at the beginning, if guys, we talked about this. We'll talk about this in another podcast: canned material versus freestyling it. But yeah, maybe there is room at the beginning for a few cool stories. But wherever possible, they should be mainly true. I think the story, and then you can twist little bits, right, to make it cooler. But generally speaking, try and stick as close to the truth as you can, just because then you're not going to fuck it up. I think.
Yes. I totally agree with that, especially when you start getting results. Like, drop all the canned material, drop all the fake shit, and just learn to. Game isn't about knowing all the fake stories. Game is about knowing how to. Obviously, you have to make you have to become more interesting and live an interesting life. Do things you actually want to do in your life and live this interesting lifestyle that you're dreaming about. But the other thing about game is learning to deliver your existing value, like, because whatever you do, I mean, you're probably doing something interesting with your life. So you have to learn to deliver that in an interesting way instead of just being a boring guy.
That's such a key point, is building that reality. A lot of guys I teach to get into this going, well, I just want to get good at like sleeping with hot girls and then I'll just do interesting shit with my life. It's like, no, you're missing the fucking point. Most guys, they don't just want to bang the girl once, whether you know it or not. There's no satisfaction from that. You want to see the girl repeatedly. And you want to have these cool, like, little whirlwind romances with these fucking hot women. The girl jumps into your reality. She sees your reality, right? Les, the coach I work with, he used a great analogy, which is like the men are the islands and the women are the boats, and they come up to the island and they stay for a bit. If the island's not up to scratch, they'll move to another island. The boat goes to somewhere else. But if you don't enjoy your day-to-day life, if you live a reality that sucks balls, women are going to see straight through that. And they're not going to be able to want to be part of that. So yeah, you might sleep with them once, but fuck, they're not going to stick around. So you have to build a reality you're actually fucking enjoying, that you're proud of, that's interesting. Because if you're fucking bored by it, they're going to be fucking bored by it as well. So that's a very, very key point. That's, again, a completely different topic we can go into a different time. But yeah, game isn't just a set of little tricks. I thought at the beginning it's almost like a few party tricks to get the girl into bed, which it was. But then you realize actually the joy in this is keeping around high-value hot women. Fuck, you have to be leading a properly interesting lifestyle. You can't just fake that shit. It doesn't work. So you have to be working on yourself constantly. And I think that's why I'm speaking for myself here. But I think that's why this stuff is all addictive, because it's all linked into overall self-development. And game basically works as you fucking realize you have to make the other areas of your life fucking shit hot as well, if you really want to get and keep those fucking hot women.
Actually, like 70% of my work is Daygame, but then the other 30 is actually helping guys deal with their kind of figuring out what they want and then actually pursuing it, which is what I used to do before as a life and business coach. I worked a lot in that and worked with some very interesting companies. So actually, it's still a big part of what I do, even when I work with Daygamers.
Yeah. What was the anything else to add on the Russian girl topic? I mean, we've kind of gone.
I think we've covered the Russian girl topic. The most important thing, learning-wise, is not the most important. But it's like an important thing to understand that you can learn game with girls that are easier to sleep with and that are more receptive to day game, or I almost said gay game.
Gay game. You're back out in Soho, the mean streets of Soho, where you were staying. I'll tell you what, man. If you're ever feeling like if you have a bad come down from extracurricular substances and you want to be ego boost, and you all you got to do is walk along on a sunny day in Soho on a Sunday, and fuck me, you'll get a lot of catcalls from men, but you'll be like, oh, life isn't too bad, I get some free validation from there, free validation from here. Oh, hey, handsome, how's it going? And then you do the walk of fame, strut through there, and then you're back on Oxford Street. You feel okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So the big thing I wanted to say is there are two ways you can learn game. You can go to a place where it's easy to learn, like Prague or like some places in Poland, or London is like 50-50, but I consider London like one of the easy places.
Scandinavia, super easy. Finland, Helsinki, super easy.
So that's one way you can learn on girls that are receptive to day game, and then you will meet Russian girls or Serbian girls or many other places, and it will be very hard for you. Or you can actually learn in places that are hard to learn. You can learn in Russia, in Ukraine, in Serbia, and if you learn there, then you can very easily go anywhere else in the world, and it will seem like it's too easy to be true, because you learned in these tough conditions. And that's something I didn't understand, but I learned in Latvia with a lot of Russian girls, is that I'm very grateful for having the opportunity to learn in a place that maybe wasn't the easiest place in the world, and that has given me so much. So that's the big thing. If guys want to learn easy, they should go to easy places. But if they want to learn the hard way, then they should get coaching in some of the hardest places. Oh, but yeah, if you want to learn on your own, then learn in the easy places like London, Poland, Czech Republics. But if you're going to places like Russia or Ukraine or Serbia, then definitely do that with a coach, because you'll just get a mental breakdown and a depression, because it's just going to be a little bit too tough.
And also just going back to that point, I think what's important is just get coaching full stop. I know this is our job, and obviously we're going to plug coaching, but honestly, like any skill set you want to learn, go to a fucking expert or go to someone who's better than you, and then streamline your process, save yourself your most valuable asset, which is time, trade it for money, and get this shit down very fast with the right technique, rather than making loads of bad mistakes, wasting loads of time, and then going, shit, actually I should have got a coach. Like, it's just a fucking no-brainer. Absolute no-brainer. So yeah, if you guys are interested in joining me and St. Robert in Russia in summer this year, June, July, August, around this time, probably July most likely, then info@jamestusk.com, send me an email, and then we'll set up a call, and you'll see us both out there charging around.
And we will probably schedule something for Serbia. I'll have time in Serbia for a few guys, so we'll probably schedule coaching in Serbia as well. And Serbia has the hottest girls I've seen in the world. They're just incredible. They're like, they have the Russian faces and like the legs and everything, and they're tall and so beautiful. But one thing Russian girls don't have tits and asses. Which is something that the Serbian girls have. They have the Russian faces, but more southern tits and asses. So they're like some of the hottest girls in the world, if not the hottest.
Yeah, I think Serbia, guys often ask me where are some of the best places, this is ironic because we're talking about Russians here, but just to digress slightly, what are some of the overall best places for day game? And when you weigh up all the factors, Serbia, Belgrade, Novi Sad, they are up there with some of the best places in the world. When you factor in things like weather, so during the summer, spring, summer, autumn, the weather is fucking hot. Logistics, you can get a place off the main day game street, Nesmi Highlova, for like €20 a night, like an entire apartment. Logistics and price is good. Cost of living is low. The fluency of English is extremely high. Receptiveness of women to foreign men, extremely high. Beauty through the roof. You have all these factors, these myriad of factors linked in. It's like one of the best places. One of the best countries overall for day game and dating. So yeah,
it's interesting view.
Yeah. There's very few downsides to it, apart from the men are very nationalistic, and if you post the wrong infield, you get lots of death threats. But apart from that, it's a cool place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have we covered the topic? I think we have covered the topic.
I believe we have. The final topic we're going to record in this kind of tri-series for next week will be what was it? The difference between gaming average women and hot girls. Was that?
Yes. The difference between how you should treat average girls versus how you should treat hot girls. What are the differences? What are the different misconceptions guys have? And
So tune in next week, and we will go through that and smash through that and dispel some myths and legends from gaming average girls versus gaming very beautiful girls.
Yeah.
Nice one. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Well, guys, now you have all the secret ingredients to meeting, seducing, and dating beautiful Russian girls. And if you wanna
take this information and take this to a whole new level. I told you, Serbia is open, and I'll be taking 2 to 3 students in March, and probably 2 because I'll arrive there mid-March, and 2 to 3 students in April before I head to Central Europe. So if you wanna join us for some adventures there, then send me an email to robert@strobert.blog. That is robert@strobert.blog, or just head over to my website, strobert.blog, and click on Daygame Coaching and fill the form there. And if you're watching this on YouTube and you like this podcast, then give this a thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, then give this podcast a 5-star review, or if this is Spotify, then just follow my podcast. All of these things simply help me to get my content out of more people and help more guys to learn to date the girls they really, really like. With all this being said and all of the Russian things and kinks being explored, thank you for listening, guys, and talk to you next week.